Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm doing a little one die, two ways with two adorable Easter shaker cards. Both of these feature the same bunny face shaker die from Pretty Pink Posh that's available today, but I'm going to mix and match some of the other die cuts that I'm using for both of the cards. And my color scheme today was inspired by these little shaker beads. They're also brand new from Pretty Pink Posh. But the star of the show is really this bunny face shaker die set. I'll be using that on both cards, and I will be combining it with this big Easter cupcake on card number 1. And look at how these pair together. The sizing just couldn't be more perfect. Now I'm also going to use the brand new Eyelet circles on that first card. And I also have this sentiment strip set from Pretty Pink Posh that I'll be using. So you can see the colors of cardstock that I have pulled here. And I'm going to be doing a bunch of die cutting. Now, when I'm doing a lot of die cutting of various dies of different colors, I like to kind of go through and grab a piece of cardstock, cut all of the things that I need from that color of cardstock by running it through. I'm just trying to save the most time possible. So I'm using my Anna Griffin Empress machine today to do all of my die cutting. And you can see that by kind of combining a bunch of dies at once, you get more bang for your buck. When you run this through your die cut machine. So I've started with the little bunny paws, the bunny face. I also have the pieces of the face, which include the nose and the eyes and the little mouth. And then from this bunny shaped head, I am going to die cut the face. And that's going to be kind of the frame of my shaker. Now I also die cut the cupcake liner from white cardstock as well. And I'm just doing a bunch of die cutting, as I mentioned, and kind of setting all of these pieces aside. Now, I'm not going to show you all of the die cutting because you don't want to see that. But I will show you, this is my little bunny face shaker frame here, which I think is adorable. I've also die cut a second one of those from some solid white cardstock for my shaker backer. But this carrot was really interesting to me because the topper and the base of the carrot are all in one die. They're connected. And so what I did was take 2 strips of cardstock. I have my orange, which is Creamsicle there, and my green, which is Sprout. Both of those are from Concord and Ninth. And I kind of butted them up against each other and then just laid the die over the seam so that I could cut both of these colors of cardstock at once. I'm all about saving the time that I can because my crafting time is limited, as I'm sure all of yours is too. So this is just a helpful little hint that I left in here for cutting this little carrot die. Now, I also need a piece of acetate to fit behind my bunny-faced shaker frame. And so I have a clear piece of acetate, and I'm using that solid bunny head frame there to die cut this from some acetate. Now, when I die cut acetate in the Empress, I do find that I need that metal shim in my sandwich. So I went ahead and placed that in there and then ran that through my die cut machine. So once all of these pieces are die cut, then I can go ahead and start assembling things. And I like to kind of take small pieces and assemble them to the larger pieces so that I can have fewer things kind of floating around on my desk. So I'm starting with the little bunny feet. I have the backer piece die cut from some Concord and Ninth Nectar cardstock, and then the front piece from some white cardstock. So you can see I'm just adding a little bit of liquid glue to the back part of the piece that creates the little bunny toe beans and adhering those together. And then I'm going to take the little toppers of all of the carrots. I'm going to add a dot of liquid glue on this round portion, which is where you kind of glue the 2 pieces together. I love it when companies think of things like that because it really makes assembling the die cuts together a lot easier. And I'm going to take the carrots that were die cut from Creamsicle cardstock and place them right on top of the little leaves that were die cut from Sprout cardstock. Now I also die cut some little mini Easter eggs from some Lilac cardstock from Concord and Ninth. And as I mentioned before, I'm just getting all of the small pieces combined and assembled where I can so that I have less things floating around on my desk and it's less of a chance that I'm going to lose them. So I'm just taking the little bunny paws here and I'm putting them towards the top of this cupcake wrapper. So those are like the hands of the bunny. And then the little feet of the bunny, I'm going to put kind of at an angle where they're kind of facing out a little bit. I'm adding those on with a little bit of foam adhesive. Now I can take the inner part of the bunny ears, so that little pink part, which is actually Concord and Ninth Nectar cardstock, and I'm popping those up on my bunny face shaker frame here with some foam adhesive. And once I have those in place, I'm going to go ahead and turn this frame over, and I'm going to add some liquid glue around the edge and adhere my acetate piece. So I'm just taking my fine tip glue bottle here and just running a thin bead of liquid glue around that frame. And then I will grab my acetate piece and I can adhere these together. And once I place that frame on top of that solid acetate piece, I'll kind of lift it up and you can see me making sure that I have the edges of that acetate lined up with the edges of my cardstock. And then I'm just removing a little adhesive goober booger there. And then I'll allow that to kind of set up using an acrylic block on top of it. Once that kind of dried, I took the little pieces of the bunny face and adhered them directly to that acetate window. And now it's time to add some foam adhesive to the back of this. And for this, I am using the scrapbook.com thin foam strips. I absolutely love these because they're pre-cut into these really thin strips. And if you take off the backer, these are very flexible and malleable. So you can see I removed the backer from this foam strip, and that's allowing me to bend it around the frame of this bunny face on the back side. So this will be completely concealed by the cardstock that's on the front because this is such a thin foam strip. And once I get to kind of this corner here, I snipped it off and I kind of started on a new piece so that I could bend it around the cheeks of the bunny and around the bottom as well. So I'm just going to continue to work my way around this bunny face shaker frame here with the adhesive on the back. Now, this foam adhesive is creating the dimension I need for my shaker bits inside of this shaker window. If there's no dimension, those sequins or confetti or whatever you have won't have room to shake around. So this seems to be enough dimension for the particular filler that I'm using today, which is just some 4mm sparkling clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh. So I just added those in with a little ice cream tasting spoon. And before I adhere the cardstock backer on this, I'm going to add some liquid glue to that foam adhesive. That will allow me to slide this cardstock piece kind of around and get it into place so that I make sure it's perfectly lined up with the front of my bunny face shaker frame. Once again, when I get that kind of adhered onto the back, I'm just going to lift this up and use my fingers to make sure everything's pressed into alignment. And because I have that liquid glue on top of the foam adhesive, I do have a little bit of wiggle room with this. Now I'm going to give that glue a little bit of time to kind of set up, and I'm going to place an acrylic block over the top of this bunny face shaker. But you can see that you can make a standalone shaker element with this die set. You can also create a shaker window on your card, which is how I'm going to use the die in a second way for our second card today. So if I wanted to just stick this little bunny face on a tag or something and be done, I totally could. Or I could even punch a hole through one of the ears and it would create its own little shaker tag here. You can see I'm adding the little cupcake bottom wrapper onto the bottom of the bunny face, and I added a little carrot in his hand here. And I'm just pressing that down, making sure that everything adheres well. And then I'm going to take this and add it onto this eyelet circle that I've die cut from some sea glass cardstock. I have some foam adhesive at the bottom of the cupcake wrapper, and then I have just some liquid glue behind the bunny's face. And that's because there is a little bit of dimension with that shaker element. So I'm just kind of leveling everything up with the foam adhesive. Now I'm going to place this kind of over to the left-hand side of this eyelet circle because I'm going to group some other elements along the right side of the bunny. You can see I have a couple more carrots, a couple of these Easter eggs, and then that third Easter egg I added onto the left-hand side. And I added some little whiskers onto my bunny face that I die cut from some vellum. So now I'm ready to work on a little sentiment strip, and I have this sentiment strip stamp from that stamp set that I showed you earlier. It says Sweetest Easter Greetings, and I'm stamping that using some Nectar ink onto some Paper Source Blush Luxe cardstock. So you can see that this is actually a little bit more pale or washed out than the Nectar cardstock that I used on the bunny ears. And I'm using that same color for my card front. So this card front is actually cut to 4 by 6 inches, and I'm adding score lines at 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, and 1 3/4 inch, just to add a little bit of texture to this piece along the bottom. Then I'm going to take this entire grouping of die cuts and add it onto this card front using some foam adhesive. And my card base today is actually a 5 by 7 inch card base. So I cut my cardstock to 10 inches by 7 inches and scored it at 5 inches to create this 5 by 7 card base. And that completes my first shaker card, this adorable bunny cupcake. I absolutely love the way that this one turned out, but I wanted to show you a second way to use this die, and that's just simply to create a shaker window on your card front. So I have that same blush Luxe cardstock. I've die cut it to, I believe, about 4 by 5 1/4 inches, and I'm die cutting that bunny head from that. I've also die cut the inner parts of the ear from that same color, and I'm attaching them onto my card front using some foam adhesive. Now, I forgot to show it in the video. I forgot to record it, but I did take a piece of acetate and place it behind that window that I created with that bunny face. And that's allowing me to adhere all of my little elements on top of it. Now, for the backer for my shaker on this piece, I am going to use some glitter cardstock. So this is some white glitter cardstock from Concord and 9th. I have some foam adhesive placed all around the back side of my card front, creating that dimension and also creating the well for all of my shaker elements. And this time I'm using a healthy dose of 4mm and 6mm sparkling clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh. Once I have those onto that glitter paper, then I went ahead and added my card front over the top of that glitter paper that had all of my sequins. And you can see I have a very sparkly bunny shaker for this card. I added a little sentiment and a little die cut heart at the bottom to finish that off, but I wanted to keep that second card really simple to show you that you can use this die in so many different ways. You can combine it with other die cuts, or you can create a really simple yet adorable Easter shaker card using that bunny face. Now, as always, I will have links to the featured products used in these projects in the description at YouTube, so you can check there if you're looking for something specific, or you can head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. I will have that linked below as well. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, a complete list of supplies, as well as some information on a blog hop that's happening today celebrating this brand new release from Pretty Pink Posh. You don't want to miss your chance to enter in to win some fabulous Pretty Pink Posh prizes, so be sure you visit me over there as well. As always, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me today. I am so glad you're here. I hope you enjoyed these projects, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here on my YouTube channel so you don't miss any of my paper crafting and card making video tutorials. And I would love it if you would give this video a thumbs up and share it with a friend as well. Thanks again. I'm so glad you're here. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.